Welcome back to Northampton Football Podcast. Sam, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Bit of good news coming out of our camp today.
Is that one
No,
we're both smiling like Cheshire cats, mate? Yeah.
yes, mate. Yeah, now it's been announced, so we'll be on N Live every week with Will on the new sports show there. You excited about that?
Oh, of course, mate. Of course, of course. And as we've been saying all day, going from our humble beginnings of recording a show in the back room or the upstairs room rather of Thomas Beckett pub to now
Yeah,
being on the radio, it's a massive contrast. I don't think we
no,
thought we were going to be there this quickly on Dibijaw, to be fair.
no, it's good. It's good. Obviously, as you can see there, we're joined by Heidi Green. Heidi, how are you? You all right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Thank you for having me. We've got here at
No,
last.
we have eventually made it. How are you? All right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. I'm going to moan about the weather because that's what we do. It's cold in Milton Keynes now. So I've been moaning for a week that it's not cold, and now it's cold. So, but there we go. Yeah, but
No.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
No
For
problem.
anyone who doesn't know, obviously you're the ambassador for the HerGameToo for the Cobblers. Um, Before we get into that, I was just going to ask. Obviously, you live in Milton Keynes, there. Why Cobblers?
Well, what's the alternative? Don't we can't swear on live on the radio.
You can't support
So
the franchise, can you? For goodness sake.
no, I can't. No, absolutely. Do you know? I was having this conversation the other day with my friend. Like, I understand why like kids support MK Dons, but people that are older than when they were formed in 2004, did they just like drop their teams and just support MK Dons?
Mm,
Who knows?
yeah, because
But
with
no, so I was born in Northampton.
I was yeah.
I've never lived there, and my dad took me to see the Cobblers when I was young. So
Yeah, no,
that is why it's the Cobblers, and obviously not my very local football team of Milton Keynes Dons. So
no,
yes.
no. Obviously, so that you've been a Cobblers fan ever since you were young, like you say. The team now, obviously, promotion last year. What do you expect from them this year?
I must be honest, because it's only been a couple of years that I've had season tickets, me and my little one, because I had to work. Real life gets in the way of football, doesn't it? So I had to work and stuff on Saturdays, and I must be quite honest with you. I think I underestimated just how difficult League One football might be because obviously we got off to a bit of a rocky start, but I think the guys are settling in. I think the back end of last season there was a lot of injuries, and even though promotion was fantastic, it was very stressful. I couldn't be doing playoffs again, but yeah, I think I did have a dream that we finished 15th, so I'm sticking by that. And at
Uh,
15th or above, to be fair, like 20th or above, I'd be happy. But
Surely, if you
yeah, I
just
think
stabilise in the league and then for the next season look to
yeah,
promote from there is probably the best way forward, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. People are saying, "Oh, we'll be in the championship next season." I'm like, whilst I like to be
mm,
positive, we need to be realistic, don't we? We need to be realists in this. But no, I think they're doing well. The first couple of losses were hard to take, I guess. But like for instance, the Wigan game we went to, that was very unlucky. But Wigan are a very good side, and obviously started on minus points, so that was a bit controversial. But no, I think as to the guys settling in, I think we can do. I think we can do well. So, but Stevenage, oh my goodness, they're they're absolutely flying. What's going on
yeah,
there?
Is that Steve Evans's team?
it is.
Oh, you,
Yeah,
you had to ruin it, didn't you? You had to say his name.
Well, he
Um,
used to be at the club that I support, and he was rubbish for us.
yeah, he's it pains me to say it because obviously they beat us on the opening game of the season at Sixfields. Stevenage are doing very well, and a bit of a shock that Leighton Orient, I think they're doing even worse than the Cobblers had been. So
I think there's
um,
rumours that the Stevenage manager was going to Scotland or somewhere like that. I think it was
yeah,
recently.
I kind of wrote them a letter and was like, please take him out of the country. But I think that's been offered somewhere else. But it's kind of a love hate thing I have with Steve Evans. Can't say I'd want him as my manager, but he's a bit like Marmite, isn't he? But he's doing something right, isn't he?
Hmm.
Obviously.
One of the guests we had before, Justin Wally, he mentioned. I was just bringing him up because you mentioned the stress there of promoting last year. That game last season, he was at the game. Was you at that last game of the season as well?
Yeah, obviously the Tranmere game. Yeah, it was. Well, it was horrendous weather. If you know, and the coach journey was long, and it was stressful because I said to my mum, I said I'd rather stay in League Two than do playoffs. That sounds like really dramatic, but it's so stressful. And you know, I wanted my football season because you know what it's like when your team's getting promoted. You want to go to all the games. You know, we go to all home games, but some away. But because obviously we're getting near promotion, we've been smashing the away games in, and it's quite tiring. It's expensive.
Which was more stressful, this season or last season with the Bristol Rovers horrid game, that one where they banged in 8 million goals to get.
Well, I wasn't at that game because I had to work. And I wasn't. I was following on Twitter. It's probably the wrong thing to do, but I wasn't keeping an eye on the Bristol Rovers score because, of course, they can't win like 7-1 or 7-0 because that doesn't happen. So I was like, yeah, automatically promoted. And then my friend was like, you have seen the Bristol Rovers Scunthorpe result. I'm like, and I looked, and I was like, you know, and obviously we lost in the playoffs, but we you know we've got over these things. But it was cruel. It was a cruel twist of fate. But that's football, isn't it? The beautiful game, the highs and lows.
Mm-hmm. It is. Obviously, Justin said that there was people in the crowd there, they were loving it, but he was hating it. Were you one of the ones that hated it then?
Has it hated it? Why? Because they were nervous about it, or
stress? Yeah, last minute was it 1-0 up, and obviously the equaliser would have ruined the promotion. He just said it was obviously following on from the season before, where it went to the last day and Cobblers missed out.
Yeah, it was. I can't say I particularly enjoyed it. I mean, it was nice to see a big crowd, and like I said, the weather was bad, and it is stressful because you're thinking, I've got things to do in the summer. I don't want to be carrying on with flipping playoffs, and you know, I've got work and stuff to do. But I was very pleased that our promotion was sealed at that game, and that the end of our season, as we knew it, was that game, because again, it's just a yo-yo of emotions, and you've always got that one friend that an MK Don supporter. Actually, I say friend, more like colleague. And he'll hide if MK Dons have lost, but if Cobblers have lost, he's not fancy seeing you here. And I'm like, I know what you're doing, but yeah, I was. Did I enjoy it? Actually, like following on from what Justin said, it was very stressful, and like I said, it was very wet Merseyside. But yeah, we got the result, and yeah, which was very good. But it was. I was glad it was over. Bit of.
No, good. So, looking at this season, then obviously new league. Obviously, like you said, there slow start. But how good was that posh game?
It was so. That was another one. It was another one because me and my little one sit in the East Stand, the family stand, boring, but got to be responsible parents a little bit, haven't we? But so
what
we were
happens at football stays at football, surely.
Say again.
Lad, what happens at football stays at football. That's what I tell my lad. He's 9, and any spare words he hears at football, they don't come home.
Yeah, maybe it's just a boy thing because my little girl's like, "Mummy, Granny, guess what?" She's getting better, but so yeah, because obviously we sit in the East Stand, which is the family stand, which nobody ever wants to sit at because it's just very family orientated, very bit more what's the word? Bit more family friendly. But because it's the posh game and obviously all the flipping armchair supporters come out once a year, they've got all these like yobs sat in the East Stand, all stood up, and I'm just sat there like. And then someone had sat in our seats, and then she said it was just a bit annoying because she was like, "You've been very aggressive." I was like, "You sat in my seat?" She's like, "No, I'm not." I was like, "Anyway, that's another story. Going down a rabbit hole here. I do that." But yeah, it was so good. So good. I just can't explain how good it was. Even my mum, who I drag along, was crying, and I think I gave the bloke in front of me. I think I gave him a hug, and afterwards I was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." So it's a little bit awkward, but yeah, it was so good. I talk a lot. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, you're all right. Carry on. You're all right. Did Mitch mean his goal?
Did Mitch mean his goal? I mean, I'm not a betting woman, but if Mitch said he meant his goal, if our pin said he meant it, then I'll say that he did. but we will never know. That's between him and God, I suppose. But
Yeah.
no, it was absolutely immense. And
Was that your first experience of that derby, or?
yeah. I mean, it's been a lot. Obviously, it's been a long time since they played, and yeah, I think it was 2002 was the last time Cobblers won at Sixfields. But yeah, I've not been to a derby game. Certainly not as a parent, and it changes it a bit for you, doesn't it? Like, I'd be in there sort of having a ruckus when I was, a teenager. But when you've got a child with you, you have to be a bit more sort of.
See, I think I might have been at that game. I think it might have been the one. Was it Boxing Day game where Danny Crowe scored for Peterborough?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think I was at that game. Yeah.
Back in the day, when Sixfields was young.
Obviously, you've been following the women's team then as well. How are they getting on this season?
Yeah, good. We've been following the first team women's. They've the season started a little bit later. Their season actually started on the day of the England game, and they won 3-0, so that's good. They've had I can't think off the top of my head, but they did lose on Sunday, which is unfortunate. But these things happen, and they've got a very strong team. Lots of young players, which is really good. And we've been following the development team, the women's development team as well, which is crazy because I think half of them are like 16 years old, and it's their first. We went to see them at very, very hot Harpole, and they won 3-0. So that was really good. But yeah, they're doing well, and the under 18s are also doing very well as well. So yeah, it's all very positive in the camp because obviously the day after the men's Posh derby, the women's also beat the Posh, so that was very exciting.
Yeah.
Yes. There was a guy there that was. My friend was like, "Don't, this is Harpole. We don't no Ferny Fields rather. We don't have trouble here." But I walked past this man and he was like, "Come on, Posh," and I just was like, "Come on, Cobblers," and then he started, you cheated and we robbed them, and I was just like, when you're walking along and you're like, everyone starts looking at you like there's loads of children here. It's really hot, and I was just like,
It doesn't help, Heidi, when you're walking around like Conor McGregor once they'd won. Probably didn't help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, mate, we just spanked both of your teams, but it's like, well, you wait till you come to people, we'll get you there. And I was just like, my little girl was like, "Mummy, that man." I was like, "Yeah, let's just keep walking, darling. It's all fine." I thought I can't be, especially with my HerGameToo stuff. I thought I can't be causing a ruckus at the women's game. So we just smiled politely and went about our day. You know how it goes.
Obviously, the manager there, Josh Oldfield, I've spoke to him a couple of times. He's been there for a long time now. Done a great job. How important is he for that squad?
I think he's very important because I think he gets the best out of them. He definitely, having been stood behind, the dugouts, if you like, he doesn't mince his words, and he's obviously very passionate about the club, and he's got a little baby daughter as well, so that helped with the whole HerGameToo thing. But no, I think he's a really good guy. I think he's firm but fair, and they all seem to have a lot of respect for him. So yeah, I like Josh and Liam. He's a good guy as well.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously, that's what I was going to ask. He's obviously Josh been there for a long time. Liam come in. Is it the start of this season he was there?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Has he made much of a difference since he's come in?
To be honest, I'll be honest with you, we didn't follow the women's team last year very much. We went to a couple of the games at Sixfields, but it's only sort of in the last year that since we'd started being with the campaign and stuff. But I believe he's made a positive change because a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, she used to play for the Cobblers women, and she spoke very highly of them both and said, as a pair, they sort of complement each other. So yeah, definitely 2 for the price of one, eh?
Yeah. No, good. Obviously, like you said, there's a load of young players coming through then. How good's the squad they've got now? Is it good enough to stay in that division?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously you can't take into account any injuries and stuff, but obviously they got Jade Bell, who's one of their strikers. She's absolutely on fire. The things I see her lifting on Twitter, I'm like, is she a human being, or is she like some sort of superwoman? But no, we've got like I say, got a really steady team, and I think there's a couple of new players that have come up from the development squad. There's Honor. she scored a goal the other night actually, and she's like 16 years old, and you think it's crazy because these are effectively still children, and they're just living their dream, playing for the Cobblers and getting the results. So yeah.
So what type of football do they play?
Say again.
What type of football do they play?
Why are you asking me all these questions about football? I don't actually know much about football, I do. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Are they a passing team, or are they just a Route 1 team? Are they a passing team, or are they a Route 1 team, or?
I would say they do pass quite a lot, but I think they're good enough to know that when the really quick players like Jade and Honor, who are very quick, they sort of leave them to it and let them get on with it. So that was a terrible answer.
Okay, how good is it for the team then? Obviously moving up to Silby, rather than taking nothing away from Harpole, sorry, but obviously Silby it's a ground, isn't it? It's a clubhouse and all sorts. And
lovely. The first time we went there, I thought this is like heaven. It's lovely. It's just really good. It's just like not that there's anything wrong with Harpole, but it's just like a proper little ground. They're very, very accommodating, and facilities are great. There's a little stand, lovely food as well. Fully stocked bar, but I'm usually driving, but I can sit and admire others drinking. But yeah, no, it's a really big thing for them. And Silbury I can't say it's Silbury. I just say Funnyfields, so I can't say it properly. Have been really good and very hospitable. And yeah, it's really, really a real positive, and we're enjoying it so far. So that is good.
What are the crowds like there? Good numbers, or?
Yeah, I think there's only been 2 at home. The first one we went to, which was the same day as the England game, which is the 20th of August. There was a fairly big crowd there because obviously that was the posh at home. So I think there was 290 people there, which was good. The one just gone was a Thursday night. Being in Milton Keynes and having a young child, we don't do Thursday night fixtures as much as I'd love to. I can't get her out of bed in the mornings as it is, never mind with a late night. But I think they had about 190. So, but I think they're due to play at Sixfield soon. So that's very exciting. I don't know the exact date, but that should be announced soon. And that's obviously
something we'll share that through our socials as well, so they can get a few more of our audience there going to have a little look as well.
Absolutely. Come and see the Cobblers Women.
yeah. We I believe they had over 1,000 there last time, didn't they? The last time we played at Sixfield.
Yeah, it was really good. Every time they keep beating, the attendance, it's just a really good day out. I mean, it was November, so it's a bit cold, but hopefully it's a bit earlier in the season this year. And it's just really good to see, lots of people coming together. And one of my neighbours actually that lives next door to my mum and dad on the way to Milton Keynes, they said, oh, I don't know about this women's game. I don't know. I said, look, just go along. It's not expensive. Go along. He loved it. He's like converted. He's like the number 1 fan. So yeah, he loved it.
It is a good day out. You're right. I took my lad to a couple of games at Sixfields when they played there last season. He absolutely loved it. He got his pictures with the ladies, and he was smiling and happy the whole time.
Yeah, a real family friendly, is that the right word? Just a real fun day. And if the weather's nice, then not too hot though. If the weather's nice, then you definitely, and because kickoff's generally at 2, so a little bit earlier, it's definitely worth a watch. If anyone's free whenever they're playing, just keep an eye out on Cobblers' socials and your socials, and then get yourselves down there.
Yeah, good. Obviously, when that gets announced, we'll publish that everywhere anyway. Like you mentioned, that posh game, obviously they had I'm sure they said they had the Lionesses game on before because the kickoff got moved. Is that right?
Yeah. So kickoff was meant to be 3 o'clock. Was it meant to be 3 o'clock? No, 2 o'clock. That's right. Yeah. And it was a bit of a shame really, because the Women's League, apparently they'd all agreed that they would kick off on the 20th of August, and there was a potential that it could be obviously the World Cup final. But it was agreed, from the Football Association it's come from, it was agreed that it would start then. And then obviously there was a little bit of uproar about people wanting to watch it, and players can't, if they're travelling to a game, they can't watch the game, and it's obviously a moment in history. And then I think the FA said it was up to the individual clubs. So we were quite lucky that our kickoff was moved to 3:30. I think some people watched it in the clubhouse at Silbury before, so that was great. But I do know some games were postponed, and it was all a little bit awkward on social media because obviously you've got teams travelling a long way, and if they wanted to watch the game, and it wasn't great planning. But you know, we live and learn, and hopefully, if we ever lucky enough to get in that situation again, it'll be handled a little bit better.
Yeah. No, did you get to watch the game then?
We did. Yes, we did. I was going to watch it at my mother's, but she's not really a great football fan, so it's a bit like, right. So we went to a pub in Milton Keynes. It's actually a HerGameToo pub, the Midsummer Tap. So that was very nice. Met an old friend of mine. Very strange being in a pub at 11 o'clock on a Sunday. So we watched it in there. Me and
not for you though, Jordan.
Say again.
What's that mean?
Not for Jordan. You don't mind 11 o'clock on a Sunday in the pub.
No, I don't know. I like them ones.
All right, if you ain't got your child with you, but she cramps my style a bit. She drinks me under the table, you see.
Well, I was my eldest son's birthday on Friday. I said to him, "We're done do Friday night." So I want to go pub for dinner. All right, no worries.
When my little one says that out loud, I feel like I almost have to say it's Wetherspoons. So while it is a pub, it's not like we're going to sit in a flipping, underground like Scar club in London. I do have to say it's Wetherspoons. But yeah, we watched it in a pub in Milton Keynes. It was a shame, obviously we didn't get the result we wanted, but they did fabulously. Spain obviously did very well. And yeah, we went on and watched Cobblers Women beat Posh Women 3-0. So it was not quite the result we wanted, but it was one of those things. And football, isn't it? It's the
it's like those England and World Cup finals don't go well, does it? Exactly.
It was a good day, and I think Spain were very worthy winners. So
yeah, no, I think I agree with.
There we go.
Yeah, but do you think, obviously being involved with HerGameToo, then the FA have done all they can to push the women's game on following that World Cup, and especially the Euros victory 2 years before? Obviously with the women winning it, I think they had an opportunity there to push, that women's game on.
Yeah.
Do you think they've done that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's just trying to gauge the audience, and obviously it's getting a lot of children that are coming up to watch the football. But I definitely think FA are very good, but no, Northampton Town are very good at promoting the women's game, and it's all very inclusive. The community trusts are fabulous, but obviously it might not be as easy with some of the bigger clubs, like we're partnered with Liverpool. And whilst they do push the women's game, I appreciate it's harder when you're in a bigger club. But some of the my colleagues at HerGameToo I speak to, they don't have a great deal of success with their clubs, which is a shame. But it's just trying to find the balance of not being too over the top with it, but just keeping in the background and pushing the women's game. And Cobblers did do it. Actually, I think it was the Leicester game. We were in, where were we? Well, we were in London, I think, so we missed it. The Leicester friendly, they had the women's game like straight after the men's at Sixfields. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of people say, "Oh, why can't the women play at Sixfields all the time?" But I think realistically, you've got to look at the cost. It must, what it must cost them to open Sixfields, and I definitely think Silbury's a great home for them at the moment, and hopefully we'll get a good crowd when we get into we do get to play at the Northampton ground. So yeah, I do think they've pushed women's football, and I do think it's becoming more popular. So that is good.
Just touching on that as well, Jordan, from a coaching point of view myself, I've seen since the Euros, I think the uptake of younger girls playing football has, I would say, pretty much doubled, if not tripled.
Has it?
Yeah, I think the Euro win, and then obviously the World Cup recently, really, really has inspired a lot of girls that might not necessarily have took up football, because it wasn't obviously on the telly. Like, I think I can get from a girl's point of view, if you're watching a men's football game, it's not quite as relatable. I totally get that. And that's why I'm a big fan of the lower league football, because I'm not the best footballer in the world, Heidi, believe me. So I see lower league football a lot more relatable. So I can see England.
That's what Jordan said in an email, but he didn't.
But I can certainly see how being more relatable and seeing it more often on the telly, because obviously with the WSL being on Sky for free now, I think it is most of the time, isn't it? So
I love lower league football. I just think it's because if, like you say, if you're like my daughter, if you're a 7-year-old girl watching a men's Man City match, you know, with a full stadium, you're going to be a bit like, wow, that's, you know, quite. I know that obviously that's a bit of the extreme at the Premier League level, but you know, it's just such a good campaign because it just says that football's for anyone. It's not, you know, it's not, although it was primarily thought of as a men's game, it's just for everyone to enjoy. You don't even have to be very good at it. I'm not very good at it, which is why I don't play it very often, but or know much about it. But
it's okay. That's why Jordan doesn't play either, so don't worry about that.
Can't play anymore because I can't. my body wouldn't let me.
That's the trouble, isn't it? I think we're all too old.
I was better than Sam anyway, so don't worry about that. Do you think, obviously, for the next step for the women's game, then, because now the Women's Super League is getting pushed on more and more, do you think a show like Match of the Day, for example, would help if they had the highlights on, you know, on free telly like BBC? Do you think that would help the game?
Yeah, definitely. I think as much coverage as possible, really. I mean, you're seeing a lot more female presenters, which is really good. You know, Ian Wright is a massive advocate for women's football, which is fabulous. But yeah, I think any positivity, good positivity, publicity rather, is good for the game. And it can only help. You know, they'd probably just have to gauge to see what the viewing figures would be like. But I haven't watched Match of the Day in probably about 15 years. I don't really follow like top flight football. My little girl says proper football, but how rude. But I'm definitely more into you know, the sort of lower leagues and then also the grassroots football. But yeah, I think any publicity would be good, and just get it out there and just get people thinking, oh, I've never seen women's football before. I might watch it tonight. It's on the telly. So
I think they've also been putting last season that is it Dan's, that channel, that German channel, has been putting the Champions League, one Champions League game per round on YouTube live.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And it's really helped, because I'll be honest, that's how it kind of got me into seeing like the players that were going to play in the Euros and the World Cup before those international tournaments happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely like you say, it just needs to be pushed a bit more, and you know, people realise that you can like men's and women's football. You know, you don't have to be exclusively in one club if you like. You know, it's you can enjoy it all, and it's just football at the end of the day, isn't it? Whoever's playing, it's football.
Do you not think that's part of the issue though, like Sam? Like you just said, I think DAZN, they said they're going to have one game per round of the Champions League. But look at the Saudi League, that come up, all these players go there. DAZN snap that up straight away. They'll show all the games in every game in that league. Surely that should be the same for, you know, Women's Champions League. It's the highest level of football you can play in football.
I think it might be again kind of similar to what Heidi was saying earlier in regards to like using six fields for every ladies game. As much as the ideal would be there that you'd want that like, all those games on all the time, realistically, and this is not having a dig at ladies football, who would watch them? If you've got a choice of 20 different Champions League games, ladies Champions League games in one night, with all due respect, and this might sound a bit hokey, but me and Jordan would definitely watch the Arsene like Karabag versus somebody in the Champions League if it was on, because we're dedicated to that, because we've been watching it for so long. I'm not sure that two bottom of the league Champions League teams in the ladies Champions League would get a lot of viewing figures. So cost effectively, it cost the
like you say, you have to trust a bit that they know what they're doing. And like, you know, when I first started watching women's football, I thought, right, I'm going to get them playing every weekend at Sixfields. And then when you look at it, and practically, you know, all the staff, the stewards, just things like the floodlights and all the electricity, that's a lot of money, you know, for Northampton Town to be paying out. But and also I think it would start to become the norm. So I think if we play 1 or 2 games a season at Sixfields, it's special. It's like a bit of it's a bit of a treat sort of thing. But if it was all the time, you know, would you get 1,000 people every week if the women played every week at Sixfields? Possibly not. And you know, again, the club has to be realistic of, unfortunately,
That's the
real
harsh
life
reality, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. No, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think a couple of games a season's nice, and it's just, we just enjoy them while they're there. So
just going back to that, we touched on the Euros game there. Obviously there was a scandal that come out of it. With his name Luis Rubiales,
yeah,
The World
the
Cup.
director of football in Spain. Yeah. I'll be honest, all I'm hearing is men talking about it on the news. Obviously,
yeah.
as a woman in football, what's your thoughts on that, on the situation there that's happened?
It's difficult. It's a difficult one to comment on, really. I mean, male, female, you can't just be sort of grabbing someone for pretty much essentially what was a snog, um, as you want to. And I understand these things happen in the heat of the moment. You're excited, but in my personal opinion, if he'd have just said, when the complaint was made, if he'd have just said, look, I just got swept up in the moment, I shouldn't have done it, or even if he didn't think it was wrong, I'm sorry it made you feel uncomfortable, or I'm sorry if I made you feel that way, and then everybody would have said, oh, thank you very much, and probably got on with their day. But the fact that he just went all flipping saying she was lying, and it's just all it is a difficult one, isn't it? But again, it's highlighted it for the good and bad. But everybody should feel comfortable at football, whether you're a male or a female. And it hasn't been great, but we do wish that I certainly wish he'd resigned sooner. But he may not have needed to if it had been handled better. But
yeah,
I'm not him, I can't speak for him. But it just went completely wild, because if it had been me, I'd have said, oh, I'm ever so sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. How could I make this right, sort of thing, instead of going on about how she's lying and this, that, and the other. And then there was all things about insinuating they were in a relationship, and usual social media just went absolutely wild. But I'm pleased it's sorted now. I think the campaign is pleased it's sorted now. And it might be a bit of an education for people, male and female, that you have to be, even if you're sweat, you know what football's like. It's very emotional or very passionate. You just have to be mindful of how you're behaving, and maybe sort of read the room and check your audience. But as I said, it was unfortunate, but I think if any good can come of it, we've learned that we need to be respectful to everybody, I guess.
Was there any statements or anything information or much coming out of it from HerGameToo following it happening?
I think there was just a statement. I can't recall what exactly was said, but I think it would have just been along the lines of the Lionesses, that we support her, we support Jenny. Yeah. I'm terrible at pronunciations, so I don't even try to say either of their names. I'm just like the Spanish man and the Spanish female footballer called Jenny. I know she's called Jenny, but it was just a case of sort of thing that the Lionesses tweeted, that we stood with her and we supported her. And and lots of things have come out since, and you think we only get one side of it, and you try to remain as passive as you can, and as sort of as a neutral. But again, as I said, I think we just said as a campaign that she did feel uncomfortable. It wasn't acceptable behaviour, and it wasn't handled in the best way, and we wish it had been sort of finished off, rounded up, the end of it sooner. But I think him resigning was the right thing to do. It shouldn't have got that far, because, like I said, he should have apologised. Again, it's the person's perception. He might have meant no harm, but it's how that she has perceived it. And, hopefully he'll be more mindful in the future. Let's hope, anyway.
Yeah. Do you think there's a problem with the Spanish football now? Obviously, as you see, Getafe have signed Mason Greenwood now, and they come under criticism again.
Mason Greenwood. We're going down that rabbit hole, aren't we?
I knew you'd bring up that controversial issue there, Jordan.
Well, it's something that needs addressing, is it not?
Definitely. No, I totally agree with you. Mason Greenwood. Okay, so very controversial, but in my personal opinion, I think Manchester, this is my personal opinion, not speaking for HerGameToo, I think that Mason Greenwood and Manchester United, I think he would have stayed on. I think they would have kept him on. And it is a difficult one because, you know, he put a statement out saying that he'd been found not guilty, which wasn't quite strict. That was not strictly the case because she didn't press charges. There's a bit of a difference. And, you know, we've heard, I don't know if you've heard the recordings and seen the transcript. It's not, cool. Yes, it doesn't look very good, but I don't think Manchester United handled it very well. I think it was only because of the backlash that he was. Has he been loaned out? Have they sold him? Do we know?
Yeah, no, so it's a loan. It's a loan.
It's on loan.
See, that doesn't sit right with me. So he's been loaned now, and Man United are paying 50% of his wages still. So in Man United's statement, they said they're cutting ties. Well, they didn't say cutting ties with him, but they said that the best thing for the club and for Greenwood is to continue his career away from Old Trafford. However, they are now paying 50% of his wages still, which, as a Man United fan, that doesn't sit right with me, really.
No, it's I just wish sometimes that it's like old Jordan Henderson saying that he's going to Saudi Arabia because he's always wanted to play there. You know, that dream destination. Oh, where do I want to go this week? I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia, and you just think, I'm off it. I think sometimes they take football fans for fools. I just wish in a way that, like Jordan Henderson would say, yeah, in a roundabout way, I'm going there for the money because it's 700k a week. I'd say, and probably so would I, mate. So would I.
Yeah.
But it's just when they waffle and twist things and take us for fools. But that club, how do you say it? Getafe?
Getafe.
Getafe. I mean.
But so they put out a statement as well, I think, saying because obviously they got a load of backlash off it, and they put a statement out saying Mason's told us he's been found innocent. He's not been criminally convicted, so as far as we're concerned, he's innocent, and we're going to carry on signing him anyway. And they've signed him, and so I haven't heard much more backlash off it, if I'm honest.
But Heidi was saying that it's not. So I haven't really followed that story because ultimately he's a Man United player, so I don't listen to anything Man United players do because it's not my club.
Who do you support, Sam?
The mighty Leeds United, so I can't stand any Man United player anyway.
So lovely. I don't know why, I just love them.
So the fact that other players have done some heinous things and gone on to other clubs, and there's been backlash, and the clubs have completely got rid of them. As in, I think David Goodwillie signed for Radcliffe Borough, and within 2 days he was gone. So does it? I feel with Man United have let football down. I feel they should have sacked him, just like every other club where somebody done wrong. He should have been sacked. And unfortunately, you make poor life choices, they come to bite you in the arse. Just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean you can get away with a poor life choice.
No, Sam, I totally agree with you. As a Man United fan, I think the club are blowing them out to let the situation calm down. And I think in the summer or whenever it's going, I think they're going to try and bring him back in. And then when that happens, I think there'll be a big backlash again, and then they'll have to go.
If it was a player that wasn't so talented, that probably doesn't have a decent future ahead of him,
if it was Phil Jones, for example, they'd be sacked straight away.
Yeah.
I think the club are going to try and bring him back in, but I mean, I don't think that'll ever happen because there'll be a major backlash if that happens.
I just feel they've let you down. Yeah. I think they've let football down. I don't even think they've let women down, men down, Man United down. I think Man United have let football down. As I said, look at the Radcliffe Borough situation. With all due respect to Radcliffe Borough, having a player of David Willie, is it David Goodwillie? I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
apologies if it's not. Yeah. A player of his ability at their level, he'd probably win them the league with his goals, but they had the morals to get rid. Backlash straight away and got rid.
They could have made a statement by getting rid of him. Right, this is it. Right, you do anything to cross the line. That's it. We've made a statement now. One of our best players got described as the best finisher at the club. But sack him off. There you go. Done. Made a statement. Exactly. But they chose not to. It's the way.
Is there something else going on at Old Trafford at the minute with Anthony as well at the current time?
Oh, God. Never ending, is it?
I know, yeah.
But does that though, Jordan? Does that show to Man United players that you can get away with murder at Old Trafford and they'll still open arms for you?
I think the Anthony one's different because with Greenwood there was clear evidence there. It was posted online for everyone to see. with Anthony, we haven't seen anything. Everyone's just listening to one story from this girl. Not saying she's lying. I don't know.
I think some screenshots came out about an hour ago.
Did they?
Oh.
I haven't seen them. But I haven't
Jordan's
seen any
doing
of
after
them.
the podcast.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I think the difference with that Man United come out straight away and said, look, we're not expecting Anthony back from his international break. He's going to deal with these accusations, which is the right thing to do. Let's see what comes of it.
But if Manchester United think that Mason Greenwood's just going to waltz back into the UK and everyone's going to have forgotten about it, they need to think very carefully because, you know...
Is there a redemption arc due to what the crime or potential crime could be? So as another player, as a different example, there was that goalkeeper that played for Plymouth, I think, called Luke McCormack, that I think did a hit and run and went to prison for it and came out and was back in football for a bit. You also had that striker that was at West Brom, was it Lee Hughes?
Yeah.
That went to prison for something stupid.
People forget about Marcus Alonso, don't they? It was at Chelsea.
Oh, did he do something naughty as
well?
Killing
a family over in Spain, paid him off. Paid the remaining family off. And
so does it depend on the crime or the... So does it matter on the potential crime or crime that's happened in order to clear the person to play again?
I think
maybe I've not worded that so well, but...
I think it's different in Greenwood because Man United's women's team is a new women's team as well. So they're new to it. And, you know, this is a crime against a woman. Do you know what I mean? And it's just I don't know, it's totally different, isn't it? No, like you say, it's totally. You can't say it's worse than killing someone, but it's a crime that should be avoided. Well, you shouldn't fucking be doing it. You know what I mean?
As a Man United fan, would you have him back? Being an England player,
I don't want him back.
The pair of you, because I'm not an England fan, so I'm presuming you both are. So if he was to come play for England and went to a World Cup tournament or whatever, would you be happy he was there? Well, not happy. Would you accept he was there?
No, I don't want him back at United.
If he signed for Northampton Town tomorrow and the club signed him, I mean this hand on heart, I would never ever speak their name again. That would be it, because, you know, and it's also like what Sam was saying about the you know, the crime and the time and all that jazz. But I think it's about how the person involved handles it. But Greenwood's just been so blasé throughout. You know, these accusations, I was found not guilty. Well, no, you weren't. Completely different. He wasn't found guilty, you know, because he didn't go to court. But
is that
just the way he handled it? Very.
You think that's what it is? Because he's a superstar at one of the biggest clubs in the world, he feels that he's untouchable, can do whatever he wants.
No.
But he's not at that status yet either. Solskjaer called him one of the best finishers at the club, but he's still not at that status. He's not banging 20 goals in a year for United. He's not at that stage yet. He's not a superstar yet. No. Do you know what I mean?
But he's acting like one. He's been so blasé, like he said, that he feels he can get away with anything.
Well, you could talk about Benjamin Mendy, but we won't go down that rabbit hole either. Anyway, next question, please.
Yeah, next one. Well, so about we'll jump back into the HerGameToo.
Yeah.
You're obviously an ambassador there for the Cobblers.
Yeah.
What does that entail? What's your role there?
So basically, HerGameToo, I don't know if you know a great deal about it, or for anyone that doesn't, it's run by volunteers. So 5 or 6 football fans, female football fans, got together in May of 2021 and just said, you know, we need to do something. So they started the campaign. And the ambassador's role my sort of role is to be the link between HerGameToo and the club. So if there's any reports or anything like that, or we sign a player advocate, or if we get local partnerships, that'll be I'm sort of like the communication person between them, if you like. So if there's any issues, HerGameToo will speak to me and I'll speak to the club and vice versa. So it's just an ambassador. I don't know really what it means, to be honest, but just the middleman, I guess, or woman, as it were.
Yeah.
But generally, Cobblers are very good. We don't touch wood. We don't have a great deal of issues with Cobblers fans. I'd say they're very, very well behaved. Online, is a little bit different, but then we know that people sit behind their keyboards and get very excited. But on the whole, touch wood, I haven't been kept very busy with Cobblers fans. That's good compared to some of my HerGameToo friends that obviously are very busy with some of their clubs. So, yeah.
Does each club have a HerGameToo representative, or?
Well, so out of the 92 teams in the Football League, we are HerGameToo is partnered. So that's basically you make a partnership and you sort of make a pact to promote women's football, make it inclusive, that sort of thing. Not everybody that's partnered with the club has an ambassador. Northampton Town didn't have one for like a year until they found me, or I found them. Who knows? I don't know who's luckier. But there are not every club is obviously partnered with HerGameToo. We have approached some clubs and they've declined, but I won't say who they are because I can't believe I've even just mentioned that. But yeah,
so most clubs in there too, or?
Pardon?
Is there non-league clubs in there too, or?
Oh yeah. There's loads of grassroots. I'm actively trying to get. Who am I trying to get involved at the moment? Rushden Diamonds, Kettering Town. It's not just women's teams. It's obviously also men's teams, and there's like really little clubs, like where my parents live, sort of Buckingham Way. Have you heard of a place called Padbury? I don't know if you know that. It's a little village. They've just started up their team again, and they're interested in being partners. So, it stems. I don't quite know how many teams there are from non-league, but I do know there's 71 out of the 92 are partnered with HerGameToo. So that's, considering it's only 2 years old, I think that's quite positive. And we get new partnerships all the time, so it's good. It's good. It's positive,
Just jumping back there, did you say Cobblers are partnered with Liverpool?
No, so HerGameToo is partnered with Liverpool, which is good because they're the only. I don't know if they're the only Premier League team, but obviously they're one of the big. What do they call them? Is it the Big Six or so? I don't know. I don't know anything about top flight football. It's far too. I don't know. I watch.
When Man United get there, Jordan, they'll be in the Big Six too, mate, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they'll be in the Big Four this year.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I watch Premier League games and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. There's like more than 8,000 people there, and look at all these people, and I'd be scared. I go into Sixfield sometimes and I'm like, well, there's a lot of people here, but if I went to somewhere like I don't know, Emirates or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I'd just be like, I'm just going to sit in the toilet because it's just too massive. When I went to Stadium MK for our friendly, that was massive, soulless but massive. I shouldn't say that. It's a lovely ground.
I went there for one of the ladies' games during the Euros. I went and saw France versus Germany there, and it was an incredible.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, oh god, yeah. I took my lad and everything, and they had like the buses out. The Germans had a bus outside, where the train station is, and they're offering free flags. So we were German fans for the day, and Finn had a massive flag that was bigger than his, and his face painted like the German flag. And
did you hear that, Jordan? We've got a traitor in the camp. We've got Judas.
Oh yeah, he keeps saying he's not English as well, doesn't he?
I'm an Ireland fan anyway, so.
Obviously, then you just involved just Cobblers, then you do you go further?
Yeah, so for me, obviously we all work together, but it is Northampton Town sort of men's first team, but some of the bigger clubs like Norwich City, they've got an ambassador for their women's team and an ambassador for their men's team. So, but like I said, not every club that's partnered with HerGameToo has an ambassador. It's ideal to have an ambassador, but obviously we need to find the right person. That's because it is quite, as you know, with these podcasts, it's quite being into football and like having a commitment. It's quite, and as Sam will agree with the coaching, it's quite a big commitment, isn't it? It's quite a lot of work. I love it. I enjoy it. But again, it's quite a commitment, and real life gets in the way, unfortunately.
Like you said there, obviously Cobblers are quite one of the better teams. You don't see much trouble at the games. Have you had much? Have you witnessed any trouble at all, or even been victim to any of it?
No, not really. I mean, you do get a little bit of stuff online, but I just tend to laugh at that, really. But I always keep a log of it. If it is from a Cobblers fan, I'll always keep a log of it and just report it to the club, just to see if there is a pattern or a trend. But you know, it used to be when I was on the terraces at, you know, 7, 8 years old, the same age as my daughter, you know, you'd get, oh, what a girl, you know, for girls, this sort of thing. But again, a lot of it tends to happen online, but I think that comes with the territory of social media, unfortunately. But like I say, Cobblers fans are mostly pretty good generally, I think. We're definitely a very community, family orientated club. So yeah, it hasn't been too bad, which is good. Probably saying that, I'll probably be stalked after this podcast or something. I'll be like, cheers, guys.
How do the club react to it? Are they quite accessible? Are they open to helping?
Oh, amazing. Honestly, I just get so excited when I talk about the Cobblers. They're so good. You know, I have a contact in the club, Gareth, he's the head of media, and he's so reactive. He's so helpful. You know, they're just brilliant. And like I say, speaking to some of my HerGameToo friends, they don't always have that much success with their clubs, you know, because people are busy. And but I've got to say, Cobblers are fabulous, and especially the women's team as well. Even though I'm not ambassador for them, I speak to Josh and the devs team that's run by a guy called James. Very good, very responsive, and just they're just really helpful. It's just a really, it's a bit naff, and it's so naff. And I hate myself saying this, cringy, but it's just like a family. It is a Cobblers family. You know, I think we're very lucky as football fans to have such a wonderful club. But I am very biased. I have definitely got claret blood.
Is obviously, so then you announced last week Lee Bird has come on board as a player advocate. What does that involve for him? What has he got to do?
Well, basically, it's just you know, putting his name to the campaign. He's got a young daughter, so when I was speaking to the chairman, and I said I'd really like to get a player involved. He said, who do you like? I was like, We bumped into him the week before, and he's such a lovely guy. You know, he's just a really friendly, lovely guy. And I looked at him when I was taking the picture of my daughter, and I thought, you could help me out with this, Mr. Bird. So I had to think about it and spoke to the club, and yeah, I just said to them, would you speak to Lee? It just, you know, involves pushing the campaign and, you know, really just promoting it. And to have a player advocate is fabulous. You know, it just shows that you've got the support from the club, and going to try and get a few more on board. But yeah, it's really, it really means a lot to me and the campaign. So
I think one of our
my next question.
Sorry. I think one of our former guests is also an ambassador for you guys as well.
Yeah,
Michael
Harriman.
As I said, it's just you know, it's just so good that people are keen to promote it, because, you know, it's sometimes, you know, like any campaign, it can be met with a bit of negativity and criticism. But, you know, and some men have said, you know, what's so special about the women and this, that, and the other. But it's not to exclude women, it's just to be included. And it's basically, you know, it's HerGameToo. It's not HerGameToo, that's it. You know, HerGameToo, nobody else sort of thing. It's her, you know, it's just to involve, you know, anyone's welcome, anyone can feel safe. You know, nobody wants to go to football and be in danger. And, you know, I think those days are long gone of the bare knuckle fighting on the, you know, the terraces, but at least for me anyway. But yeah, it's just such a good campaign, and I'm very lucky with the club that they're, and BBC Radio Northampton as well. They're very, very, very positive, and we've been on there a couple of times. So I nearly had to go on the payroll, but it's getting a bit much. It's getting a bit awkward, you know. I think they couldn't live without me on the radio, so I had to like take a step back and be like, "Oh, guys, need to keep this professional." So I'm joking.
So obviously, you mentioned when we talked about Lee Day, you said you want to get a few more players involved. Any idea who you got any lined up, or we spoke to any already?
No, I haven't. No, because obviously we've concentrated on getting Lee first, and that took a little bit of organising, and that was announced. Nobody yet. I'm just going to see how we go with Lee. We don't want him to get jealous. We want to make him feel special, you know. But nobody in particular yet. But I've definitely. I like to. It's not obviously exclusive to people that have got young families, but the fact that Lee has got a young daughter, I think, really, you know, just speaks volumes that he's supporting the campaign. And, you know, maybe his little girl will be a be a professional goalkeeper one day. You never know.
Is she playing? Is she already?
Well, she's only 18 months old, so I don't think she is.
Okay.
But she's quite young.
Okay.
But I did say you need to get her in that you need to get her in that goal. But yeah, definitely I shall definitely be keeping my beady eyes out for some more players and speak to the club and see. Don't want to bombard them, but I do on a regular basis. But yeah. All in good time.
How can people get involved with with HerGameToo?
So if they want to get involved with the campaign in general, they can just go onto the website HerGameToo. I think it's .com, or just put into any search engine. I was going to say, but other search engines are available, of course. But if anybody at the Cobblers would like to get involved, they'll probably see my mug around the games quite a bit, or on Twitter, they could just give me a shout, or speak to the club. Everybody's welcome if they want to get involved. If they've got any ideas for how we can make things better, or what we're doing well, what we're doing not so well. We take, advice from anybody. So if anybody wants to get involved, they know, give the club a shout or find me on Twitter or X or whatever it's called.
Like when we share this anyway, we'll tag you in it, obviously.
Lovely.
So yeah, just look for your name and find you there. Are you going to game the weekend then?
Yes, we're going to Port Vale on Saturday. That'd be very exciting. We go on the supporters coach. We go on Sixfields Travel, which again is like a big family. So that'd be nice. Mother's coming along. She's decided that when Cobblers are doing well, she wants to come along, and when they're not, she's suddenly busy or doing the gardening or something. So, but yeah, so it's always a really nice family day out. We'll stop and have some food. Hopefully, get the 3 points. So yeah, I haven't been to Port Vale's ground before, so that should be very good. Another one to tick off.
Good. And then will you be at the women's game on a Sunday? Have they got a game Sunday?
So they have got a game on Sunday. Yes, they are playing at Funnyfields against. I think it's Sheffield. Honestly, I'm terrible. My memory. I think it's Sheffield City, maybe.
Is it the FA Cup game? Or was that last weekend?
That is a very good question. Because
Russian and Diamonds ladies made their debut in the FA Cup last weekend, I believe.
Didn't they do well? I did follow them, so that's really good. I think it's a league game. I couldn't be 100% sure, because I look at these things and think, oh yeah, they're doing this, and then something else. My mind's like buzzing around, and I forget what my name is half the time. But the answer to that question is I don't know. But all I know is they play at Funnyfields, 2:00. Get yourselves down there.
Tickets available on the door, or do they have to pre-purchase? Or
you can pre-purchase, but we always pay on the door, and I pay in cash because I think it feels really old school. They'll be like, you can buy season tickets, but we haven't got one yet for the women's game. It's like with kids, and it's all very well. Honey, my daughter, little cobbler, she wants to get the football in the summer, but when it's a freezing cold, snowy, dark Saturday afternoon in February, will she want to go then? That is a very good question. But no, you can get yourselves down there. Just check, be careful with the postcode, because I used the wrong postcode and ended up at the players' entrance. I did try and get in, but it didn't work very well. I don't, my footballing days are over, and you can tell. But
you went down a little side street rather than the big roundabout, yeah.
Yeah, I went, and I was just like, this doesn't look right. And I was just sat in my car like.
Don't worry, we'll let you into a little secret. When we've been there, we've done that before as well, so don't worry.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Haven't we, George?
I just got there and I was like...
We tried it, didn't we? We tried it when the gate was... There's a big queue outside. We thought we'd try to solve it.
I did it by accident. But yeah, so cash on the gate. Yeah. I think it's about £4 for adults.
Nice. Obviously, we'll share all that information as well. As the club tweet it out, we'll re-share it.
Lovely.
I appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I should have asked you what you were going to ask me. Then I could have swatted up and pretended I knew loads about football. I do know about football.
It's all right. We'd edit it, but we blag it a lot of the time as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we were both the same last week when we went to N Live, because we just obviously got that gig on a Thursday now. And
yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, cheers. We're a little bit starstruck, weren't we? What we George? Like, we didn't really say anything for the first 30 seconds because you're you're in a radio station.
Do you
proper
actually
studio,
go
isn't it, Sam?
to Radio Northampton to do it?
No, it's N
No,
Live that
it's
we're working for. So, you know, the student one opposite Morrison's in Northampton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when I met Lee Burge. Gareth, my contact, was like, "Have you got anything to say to Lee?" I was just like, "Thanks." And and then they walk off, and you're like, "I'm a flipping adult," and you just get a bit. It's just a bit mad, isn't it? And then you think, I don't want to say anything in case I say the wrong thing. I don't want to say too much. And I was like, "Thanks, Lee," and walked off and thought, he's going to think I'm a right nana. But hopefully he realised.
That often happens on our podcast when we meet people. Like, we met Heidi Man a few months ago, and because I'm a bit of a Cobblers fan, I knew who Heidi was from back in the day. So I'm literally sitting there like this, the whole interview, like, talk to me, Heidi. Keep talking, Heidi. Go on, keep talking.
Yeah. And you think, and half the time you're like, I don't want to make a fool out of myself, but I don't want to be in bed tonight thinking I should have said that, I should have said that. So you just sit there like, don't you? Just look like you don't know what to say. But no, congratulations on the Thursday night. When does it start?
Last Thursday we had our like pilot one, and then this week is our proper one, Jordan, isn't it?
Yeah. So last Thursday we'd done an episode with him, but we was just trying to sort of work out his timings and stuff. So
difficult in real life. It's so annoying.
First official episode this Thursday. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you must try and get yourself down to the Women's Gate, and absolutely when it's at Sixfields, keep an eye out. And we'll have to get some pictures and that, and come down and
because what we usually do when we go to a game, Heidi, is when we go to like a non-league game like Cooknell or whatever, we get there a little bit early. We tell you guys we're coming, and what we do is we generally have a walk around the ground, take some photos of the ground, try and meet up with a couple of players, and then try and interview a player after the game.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
So if we could end up doing that when the Cobblers are at home at Sixfields, that would be phenomenal. And I think Jordan has been trying to reach out to one of the ladies for a while now, I think, and we've not really had a lot of success.
Oh.
I wouldn't say we haven't had success. We've been talking to Damon, and obviously one of the lads I know, Jack, he's a goalkeeper coach for the team. He's trying to get Josh to come back on as well.
That'd be amazing.
So yeah, that's something we want to sort out soon.
Fantastic.
Which I think we're getting closer to it. Oh, thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you for having me. And please cut any vaping out if you can, in case my mum watches it.
I also think you'll probably be so we're launching our website this week-ish. So I think your podcast or your episode will be the first like bloggy one on there. So
what can I say? You know, start with the best.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And
thanks,
like
guys.
you say, we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Welcome anytime. Just give me a shout. We can sort it all out.
No problem. Thanks,
guys. All the best.